I think the Denver Broncos absolutely murdered the first day of NFL free agency, signing 2 starters who are Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber players for dirt cheap, compared to what a lot of other players that play the same position went for yesterday in free agency. 2 49ers, safety Talanoa Hufanga, and linebacker Greenlaw coming over to Denver, and I've got to envision that the other 3 AFC West teams hate this. The Broncos defense was already so good last year and so tough to go up against. It only got better and exponentially better after these 2 signings right here. Hufanga, 2022 All-Pro with 5 tackles for loss, 9 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, a complete field general, steps into the back end of the safety room alongside Brandon Jones. Meanwhile, you've got Hufanga, who, yes, has had some injuries over the last 2 years, but with the offseason to get healthy, should be ready for all of 2025. I think he is going to be an excellent signing when we look back at this one. Unfortunate what the injuries did to his career the last 2 seasons in San Francisco, but I am willing to roll the dice on that because of the upside. And also because he's only getting $20 million guaranteed. If the injuries do unfortunately come back, I don't believe it's going to be a major negative impact on the Broncos' future. Greenlaw, by the way, another great player from San Francisco. I always felt like he was overshadowed a little bit because there were so many other awesome players on that Niners defense, but he was a big reason why the Chiefs made a comeback in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Once he went down with the Achilles injury on the sideline, everything turned upside down for San Francisco. Greenlaw, when healthy, which was for much of his career up until the Achilles injury, which caused him to miss almost all of 2024, was a standout linebacker. I just can't say enough good things about the Hufanga and Greenlaw signings. Across the league, you are seeing NFL pundits and media members praise the job that Sean and George Payton did during day 1 of NFL free agency. So I believe this is a great move, a great pair of moves for Denver, and I think it's something that the Chiefs especially are going to hate. Why? Because the blueprint is out after the Super Bowl. How you want to beat the Chiefs? Rush 4, get home with 4, and drop 7 in coverage. Now, you got to have the firepower and the horsepower to do that. And adding Hufanga and Greenlaw, that's going to allow Denver to hold up in coverage. And they have the 4 up front. They've got the 3, the 4, the 5 to get to the quarterback after leading the league in sacks. Now, if you are all in on the 2025 Broncos, join our channel because we're going to be giving you guys daily updates all year long, throughout the entire offseason, throughout free agency, up to the draft, and of course, even during the summer. No one puts out more content than we do, so join the channel today, 33,000 plus strong. Now, I have some actual evidence to back up why I believe the Broncos are going to really start to turn the tide in the AFC West. Just go through their defense with me, will you? Look at their defensive line. Zack Allen is going to get a monster contract extension. By the way, how about the Broncos picking Zack Allen over Draymond Jones, who, by the way, was just released by the Seahawks a week ago? DJ Jones comes back on, sure, a little bit of a pricey deal, but he was still so stellar when it came to stuffing the run last year. John Franklin Myers would have been a team's top 2 or 3 pass rusher on most other rosters. On Denver, he kind of got lost in the shuffle, so to speak, because of Jonathan Cooper, Zack Allen, and Nick Bonito, but he is still a force to be reckoned with. Then you move on to the linebacker room. You get Alex Singleton back from an ACL injury. He was great in 2023 and awesome to begin the year, and he has Greenlaw working alongside him. I think that is an upgrade over Cody Barton, and of course, Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito anchoring down the edge rusher position. Both guys coming off 10-plus sack seasons. Cooper already got his extension. Bonito's going to get his in the near future. And when those guys need a breather on first down, how about DeAndre Tillman, a UFL star who just walks into Denver Broncos training camp and puts up 5 sacks off the bench? Or rookie Jonah Ellis looking to make a huge step forward in year 2 after already making a big impact in his first year. And then you've got Drew Sanders, who has kind of been forgotten about, but that's a former 3rd-round draft pick who's going to have a big role on this defense when he comes back fully healthy after missing a lot of 2024 with an Achilles injury. This front 5 is one of the best in football. You don't take my word for it. Let the numbers speak for themselves. This is a front five that led the NFL in sacks a year ago. It was a franchise single-season sack record. There is simply no front five that I think can really go toe-to-toe with Denver. It does not have... No, I'll walk that back. There is no front five that I think can go toe-to-toe with Denver when it comes to depth across the board. Like, you've got some firepower at other teams, right? There's Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and they're all fantastic. They're all great players. But when I go top to bottom, the bottom for the Broncos is like John Franklin Myers. The guy had 6-7 sacks last year. That's how deep this front five is for the Broncos. You want to get Benito and Cooper off the field? Fine. Watch out for rising Jonah Ellis or DeAndre Tillman or Drew Sanders. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. And this is going to be a defense that opposing fan bases don't know a lot about. It doesn't have a jersey-selling name on it, really. It doesn't have someone who's a perennial Pro Bowler. But it's got a lot of young, ascending players that the moment the game is over, all the opposing fans are going on their phone looking up, who is 15 for the Broncos and why did he destroy us? Nick Benito, hadn't heard of the guy, but I know him now. But it's not just about the front five for Denver. Let's turn to the secondary now. Pat Surtain, best cornerback in the entire world. Riley Moss, ascending player as well, who had a very strong sophomore campaign. Jaquan McMillan, he is a turnover machine, constantly finding his way around the football, always generating big, explosive, playmaking-worthy plays. I do think Denver is going to look to add a corner or two over the next week or so after losing a corner in free agency and probably not having a ton of faith in Damari Mathis, but Chris Abrams-Draine, after his rookie season, hopefully can take a step forward in year two as well. But another addition from San Francisco, safety Talanoa Hufanga pairs up with Brandon Jones. This is a completely new safety tandem from 2 years ago between Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. And Hufanga can stop the run. He is always going to be a great tackler in the open field, but he's also got a nose for the ball. He's always around it. He's coming up with takeaways, and Brandon Jones had no shortage of takeaways himself in his first year with the Broncos, forcing fumbles, creating interceptions, and there's plenty of depth at the safety position now. I like P.J. Locke to come off the bench a little bit more like he did the first few years with Denver. Hopefully J.L. Skinner can improve as he progresses in his NFL career. Devon Key, I thought, had an excellent preseason, and he's going to be a nice addition to the special teams unit. Delaren Turner-Yell missed all of 2024 with an injury. Great on special teams. Let's keep him in that role. This secondary is a complete no-fly zone. I'm thinking to myself right now, what's a better unit here? The secondary or the front five? You think the front five, but the secondary's got Pat Surtain and Talanoa Hufanga. I've got two all-pros backing up the defense. And then up front, I've got five guys that led the NFL in sacks last year. You can make a really strong argument for either side. But here's the best part. They play for the same team. You know who hates that? Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, Justin Herbert. The rest of the AFC West is snapping pencils and breaking phones over what Denver did the first day of free agency. That might sound a little bit dramatic, but I do believe there were some audibles, actually not even subtles, a big giant F-bomb across all three AFC West teams when they found out Greenlaw and Hufanga went to Denver. The only thing holding those two players back from their insane Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber potential is injuries. And that is an important thing, but you got to be shitting your pants if those guys come out healthy and stay healthy all 2025, 2026, 2027, because if that's the only knock against them is the injury factor, and they put the injuries behind them, this is going to look like absolute highway robbery to the likes the NFL has never seen. I'm not just trying to gas you up. I truly believe to my core this Broncos defense is going to be an incredible NFL historic caliber defense this season. I think it's got the firepower and the personnel to do it. I believe they are going to put together one of the best individual seasons in NFL history. Now, looking at the other AFC West teams and what they've done so far in free agency, the Chiefs have made some solid re-signings. Tagging Trey Smith, that was a good move. Not surprised they brought back Marquise Brown. They had a big role and plan for him last year and just couldn't get him on the field enough. Nick Bolton, I thought that was a good re-signing. Jalen Moore will step in at their left tackle position. He kind of played guard for the 49ers, but he's really a tackle now. And then Elijah Mitchell, he came over from San Francisco. And then, sure, a long snapper signings. Who cares? But the Chiefs made some good re-signings, but they have not gone out and made any big external signings, which I don't think is a sign of they've not done well in free agency. They already have a really good roster, as we know, but I love the external signings for Denver. Meanwhile, for the Chargers, they lose Joey Bosa as they release him to save $23 million against the cap, but they do re-sign Khalil Mack, which surprised me a little bit because they really pulled back on Mack last year because they had some younger edge rushers that they wanted to see on the field a little bit more, but he's still got some good veteran presence to his name. Punter signing, corner depth signing, and then Bradley Bozeman coming over from Carolina, I think he last was, so that's going to replace their center. Tierra Tart, I think, is a good interior defensive lineman. Najee Harris is a 17-game merchant. He is a part of this incredible ensemble of running backs who have rushed for 1,000 yards in the first 4 years of their NFL career. The only reason why he is in that group is because there's 17 games in a season, and he barely eclipsed 1,000 yards 3 out of those 4 seasons. And by barely, I mean he was within 50 to 60 yards of not reaching 1,000. In a 16-game season, he does not get there. So, bad signing on the Chargers' part. They were better off bringing back J.K. Dobbins. Instead, they overpaid Najee Harris, who I do not expect to come back after this season. As for the Raiders, they signed Alex Kappa, who was released by the Bengals. Sure, take one team's trash and make him your trash. Max Crosby got a mega extension, which he deserves. Geno Smith coming over from Seattle. I think Geno's a good, solid quarterback. I don't believe that the Raiders are better off with Geno, but on one hand, they didn't have a lot of great other options, although I think they could have done better off with a free agent signing like Sam Darnold and keeping a third-round draft pick. So I like the Darnold and a third for Seattle more than Geno to the Raiders. Adam Butler re-signs with the Raiders. That's a really good piece of their interior D-line. They added Jeremy Chin for a pretty affordable deal. Malcolm Kuntz comes back after missing all of last season, and then a few more signings as well. But none of these teams have impressed me nearly as much as just not a huge volume of moves between Hufanga and Greenlaw. And the Broncos are not done, by the way. There's a great chance by the time you're watching this video, they've already made some more additions. But from a quality over quantity standpoint, and for not a massive overpay standpoint, home runs. I mean, home run derby home runs. Just knocked them out of the park with Hufanga and Greenlaw. Just cannot say enough good things about these two signings. Before we talk about some of the players the Broncos lost in free agency to catch you up, Bo Nix jersey, 25% off at chatsports.com/fanatics. If you want to get some more Broncos gear without breaking the bank, use our link. I put it in the comments and description of today's video. It's also an excellent way to support the channel while getting yourself some more gear for your favorite team. So go to chatsports.com/fanatics. Now let's talk about some of the players who walked in free agency. Cody Barton signed a 3-year, $21 million deal with the Titans. I liked Barton's contributions last year. I've said that before on the channel, but I would much rather have Dre Greenlaw. Even for a little bit more than what Tennessee's paying Barton, I think Greenlaw is twice the linebacker that Cody is. Sorry, Barton. Riley Dixon goes to the Buccaneers. He had a weird career path with the Broncos. Remember, he was drafted by Denver? Yeah. Drafted, signed, whatever it was, and then went to the Giants, then came back to the Broncos. I did not think Dixon was a tremendous punter last year. I didn't think he was a player that you couldn't part ways with, even for a punter. The Broncos reportedly tried to bring him back, but he goes to sunny Florida to play for the Buccaneers. Depth piece that left here, Trayman Smith. He was initially signed to be more of a special teams guy, a return player. Then Marvin Mims came along, and they didn't really have a role for Smith in that department, so he never made a huge contribution on the field for Denver in his 2 seasons. Zach Wilson leaves to go to the Dolphins on a 1-year deal worth up to $10 million. I like this for Wilson. He knew that he was not going to get on the field with Bo Nix in Denver, so he goes to a place where he's making a pretty good gamble that the starter might miss some time, since that unfortunately has been to his track record. So he goes to a position where he can, showcase a little bit of what he learned after 1 year with Sean Payton. And then Javonte Williams signing a very cheap contract with the Cowboys. I'm just laughing at the fact that the Cowboys last year did not sign anyone. And this year they're like, all right, we'll sign people, but we're not going to spend more than we have to. They are just scouring bottom of the barrel, cheapest contracts possible. So best of luck to Williams. Really sucked that 2022 knee injury may have just completely derailed his career. That's going to do it for us on today's show. We are live, good chance by the time you're watching this, right now on the channel. So if you want to get a full free agency live breakdown with us, scroll on down or scroll on subscribe, but also go to the channel and click the live section and join our live free agency tracker, news, rumors, trades, extravaganza here at the Broncos Breakdown.